We also have, amongst us today, a revered saint and renowned spiritual guru, His Holiness Om Swamiji. Hey buddy, can you bring in the Temi avatar of Swamiji?
Should I be talking? Can you all hear me? Because I'm virtually, I can't, I don't know if you can. If you could just show your hand up, if you can hear me. Okay, great, lovely. Thank you very much, everybody, for putting up with me virtually. But I think staying true to the spirit of metaverse, I don't think it's a sheer coincidence. So if I may start with a very tiny stuti, and then we can, I can get started right away. वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. I offer my obeisance to the divine in you, with whose grace you're all present here right now, this moment. Usually I stay away from all kinds of events, to be honest with you, but in this particular case, Ram Madhavji approached so lovingly. It was an extraordinary invitation that I was left with no option but to say yes. And I think equally important was the topic of Religion 2.0 and taking our culture, our base, our spirituality, not to just the world at large, but to everybody in this world in the new generation. I'm reminded of a small incident from the life of Swami Vivekananda. One time when it's world famous fact that he went to Chicago, the World Parliament, he was walking down the street in his robes, in his monk's robes, and a man and a woman, a couple, were walking by, and the woman said to the man, I don't think he's a nice man, because she had never seen anybody in robes. Now, Swamiji overheard that conversation, and he decided to give an answer. So he turned back. He said, Madam, in your country, it's the clothes that make a man gentleman. In my country, it's the character that makes somebody a gentleman. And that story, really stayed with me, because as a nation, what is our character? And as a nation, as India, as a world power in the making, somebody with, a country with more than 1.3 billion people, what is really the root, the basis of our existence? How have we survived all the conquerors and the changes and the geopolitical changes and the territorial changes all across the thousands and thousands of years? Predominantly because somewhere we did not let go of our culture, of our dharma. And I mean, that's what I think Krishna meant when he said, Tasmaduttishta kanta yodhaya kritanishcha. There comes a moment in life, there comes a moment in the span of every nation where they really have to sometimes pick a camp. They have to decide what is really important to them. This husband, it was his 40th wedding anniversary. So he went home and he gave his wife a bouquet of white roses. And the wife said, oh, it should have been red. Red signifies love. And the husband said, my dear, after 40 years of our marriage, I need peace a lot more than I need love. So I've brought you white flowers. And I think after nearly 75 years of our nation, of our independence, we really need a very strong foundation. We need more employment. We need more industry. We need a better education system. We need a better Medicare system. And it's not that the government or the citizens or the people or the bureaucracy or the judiciary isn't doing enough. I think they are. But as a country, together, what are we doing? to do that. And I always feel that in a train, you have an engine, and then you have the coaches and the compartments. So as a nation, should we be shying away from our spirituality? Should we be shying away from our religion in the name of progress? Because we can make material progress our engine, or we can make spiritual progress our engine. It doesn't mean the other coaches will get left behind. It just shows where our priorities are, so to speak. And I always think, for many years I ran a software company before I monk in 5 different countries, and software was my bread and butter for enterprises and so on. Whenever you feel technology, whenever you can see technology, that means that piece of technology is not mature enough yet. Because technology has to be totally seamless, an integral part of our whatever existence there might be. If there's a piece of technology that really has to be functional, it cannot operate independently of the user. It has to be an integral part, a seamless part of our existence. And with that in mind, I was thinking that how do I do my 2 cents worth in this beautiful nation which has given me everything, so including birth, of course. What can we do as a nation so that the youth of today and the future generations will not feel out of touch with our roots? Because think of a leaf, as long as it's connected to the source, if it's connected to the tree, it does not perish, unless, of course, there is some disease. But the moment it's disconnected, even a fruit, it will start to deteriorate, it'll start to perish. So as long as we are connected to our source, we'll always have certain strength. And perhaps that's what Lord Krishna must have meant when he said, Urdhva Moolamada Shakham Ashvatam Prahurabdham. Chandasi Yasya Paranani Yastam Vedasa Vedavita. That this tree of life is an inverted tree, and this is the root, the head is a root. From here, all fruits originate. So if the head is sorted, the heart can be aligned in a much better way. So in terms of keeping our people connected to our roots, we cannot close our eyes and make religion something separate to our upbringing, so to speak. What I mean by that is, sometimes we say, just sit down for 5 minutes, say this prayer, and everything is forgiven. I mean, by doing that, we have differentiated religion or our spirituality from our existence. If you look at any image of Buddha, Lord Buddha, you'll almost always discover that half his eyes are closed and half are obviously open. The idea is that my spiritual existence must be an intricate part of my real physical existence. If the two are separate, then it would just end up being an act. The real test is out there in the real world. When I'm sitting by myself and I'm meditating, nobody's saying anything to me except my own mind. But it's when we step out, that's when the test is. That's when we really know if we are together, if we are thinking straight, and so on. So one of the greatest strengths of our nation has always been religion. And unfortunately, when I say religion, I don't mean to create any division. I simply mean a sense of ideology, that this is where I belong, this is what my roots are, and I can only nurture, grow, and progress if I take care of my roots. If I'm disconnected from that, what will then be my anchor in life? When the going gets tough, when we go through our low moments and stuff, how do we develop, or what is our coping mechanism? So often, parents ask me that how do we get our children into religion? How do we get them to say prayers and things like that? I always tell them, look, if you are partying hard, your kids would also want to party hard because they see you having fun. But if you are sitting in front of your puja sthan, at your altar, in your temple, all frowny and grumpy and cranky, and then you expect them to do the same what you are doing, they will question you, look, what did you get out of it? They will ask you, you are still grumpy, you are still cranky, why should we pray? But the most beautiful thing about samskara, about this spiritual upbringing is, in their teens, they may not do it as much. In their 20s, they may still be against. But when the career is set and they've had everything that they wanted in their life, or at least they're on track to have a career and so on, when they will sit back and say, look, I've got a great job, I've got a degree, I've got a beautiful family, I've got kids, I've got everything, and yet why am I not happy? And that void can only be filled by samskara. Whenever life challenges them, they will think of, okay, how do I go back and fix or address the challenge I have? Naturally, they will come back to what they saw their parents doing when they were growing up. So nothing ever goes waste. This little kid once, he said to his grandfather, he said, Father, every day I see you reading the same book. What's the point? I mean, you're reading the same thing. It's like you've memorized it, but you're chanting the same verses day in, day out. What's the point? And the father said, the grandfather said, my little child, here's a little, he gave him a basket, which had a sieve, a net. He said, please go to the river and just fetch some water. Now the basket was containing coal. So he dumped the coal, he went to the river to get the water, but as soon as he filled it, the water all drained out. And yet he went back to his grandfather saying the basket could not contain any water at all. The grandfather sent him on the same exercise again, and then same, and then same. He did think maybe my father has gone cuckoo, but nevertheless, he was an obedient kid, so he did what he was asked. So when he came back the fifth time, he said to his grandfather, he said, Grandpa, this is a futile exercise. This basket cannot retain water. And the grandfather said, yes, my son, that's right. But take a look at the basket now. It was much cleaner. The remnants of the blackness of the coal had disappeared after getting so many washes. He said, that's why we study scriptures. That's why we read. We may not retain everything, but each time we do it with a sense of devotion, they kind of purify us. You know, Gaudan, Gajadan, Vajidhan, Aur Ratan Dhan Khan. Jab aave santosh dhan sab dhan dhuri saman. That you can have all the riches in the world, but it's only when you are content that everything appears meaningful, that everything is actually enjoyable. It's not dependent on the magnitude as much as it's dependent on our usage and the quality. But I feel as a nation, we can't have contentment if we have people dying on the streets, if we have hungry people there, if we have children or youth coming out of universities and looking for employment and not getting. Unless we build those systems in place which reflect the maturity of a democracy, which reflect the maturity of an organization as well as a nation, we cannot really make sound progress in genuine religion. Yuktahar viharasya yukta cheshthasya karmasya yukta sapanam bodhasya yogo bhavati dukha. Meditation or religion is not something you do in isolation, Kante, Krishna says. It is very much a part of your life. When you eat in moderation, sleep in moderation, work in moderation, and you do everything in moderation, that balance is what will lead to a sense of sanity. Otherwise, in this world, in today's world, on our devices, we are constantly online, being monitored, being scrutinized, being in touch with everybody, even when not necessary. And that really doesn't help us beyond a certain degree. And that creates, I feel, a sort of restlessness. And I thought if people are holding devices, why not make religion or make Vedic practices accessible to them day and night through their device? Rather than going on just this mainstream social media, why can't they go on something that's more inclusive, encompassing, and enjoy the glory and beauty of Sanatan Dharma, of Vedas, and many other religions and spiritual teachings? With that in mind, I feel that religion has to be a part of our daily existence. And that's what the metaverse is. Otherwise, there is no metaverse. Otherwise, it's just a gaming platform where you have 3D avatars, where technology is more connected. I mean, we already know if you need more milk in your fridge, or if you are hungry and we're all you could eat, if the same grocery basket should be repeated. But it has to really be an extension of where we are. And Sorry, I keep quoting the Gita, but I'm reminded of another beautiful verse. Udred atmana atmanam natmanam vasade atma vyatmano bandhur atma vripuratma. Bandhur atma atmana sasya ye natma vatmana jut. Anatmatasya shatrutve varded atma shatruvat. That in Krishna says the one who has his mind under control is his own greatest friend. And when the mind is not in control, your own greatest, worst enemy. So in our country, religion is our greatest friend and also our worst enemy. Because it all depends on the usage. That whether we are using a knife to slay somebody or we are using that piece of iron to make a lamp for devotion. So if we as a nation don't start banking on our strengths more than what we have been, then I think we have some real tough and hard reflection at our hand. We need some thinking to do. I think I've been given 15 minutes, so I won't take much of your time. I just will say one more thing. It got reminded, this husband was doing some electrical work at home. And he called his wife. He said, "Can you please come here?" She said, "What's the matter now?" He said, "Look, just come here, I'll tell you." So she comes and he says, "Can you hold this wire?" And she holds that wire and he says, "Did you get any jolt, any shock?" She says, "No." He said, "Oh, okay, then the live wire must be the other one." So I always find it a bit funny that we don't have to touch the live wire to know where the current is. If we have the right systems in place, we can find out where the current is flowing from. This father and this priest bought this lawnmower in a second-hand sale, and the man who sold him was a young boy. He said, "Father, you can have it for $50. Normally it's $300 brand new." And the father said, "Okay, look, I'm trying to start, but it's not starting. It's not firing up." He said, "Father, with all due respect, you have to use a lot of swear words. You have to cuss at it real hard, and then it starts." And father said, "Oh, dear Lord, not possible, not possible. I haven't cussed in 40 years, he said. He said, "Father, just keep pulling at the string. Believe me, it'll all come back to you, and you will start cussing in no time." And that's what I mean when I say that with religion, the test is when somebody cuts us off in the traffic, when there's an incident of road rage, when somebody jumps the queue, or when we have to sometimes face injustice. How do we respond then? What do we do? That's what really shows where we are on the spiritual ladder, so to speak. That's at least my view. I could be totally wrong. And I think in terms of religion 2.0, we need more than evolution. We need a revolution, I feel. Just simply evolving from one step to the other is the gradual path. Maybe we need something more than that. And I feel we need more interaction, not instruction. Religion has been mostly instructional. And finally, I feel that we need more assimilation of the ideas as a nation and not assassination of ideas. And we definitely need more action than reflection, because today everything happens on these devices, but we do need more people on the ground. So I guess that's all, because my 15 minutes are up. I don't want to bore you people too much, if I may put it that way. So may I just say one little study? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat. Please accept my deepest gratitude for having a nobody like me on this August platform. Very grateful to Ram Madhavji and India Foundation and everybody who's present here. And also please accept my apologies that I couldn't be present there physically, only virtually. But thank you nevertheless.